Howdy, how's it going? Welcome back, or howdy if you're new. This is my ROG Ally X, and this thing is an absolute unit. I love this handheld so much. It is absolutely perfect in every way possible. Even though I've already modded it and changed some things around, that does not take away from its perfection, in my opinion. Now, if you have an Ally X or you are thinking about picking up one and you want to see some cool mods, definitely this video is going to be for you. I'm going to cover all of the mods that I've done to my Ally X, and I'm also going to give you some tips and tricks on things to look out for and maybe some potential caveats with some of these mods. And we might even dive back in and compare it to the OG Ally and answer a few questions about mods for this as well. So even if you don't have an Ally X, this video could still be beneficial for you as well. And of course, the entertainment value. And if you like videos like this, definitely leave a like and subscribe. And thank you to the channel OG members. You guys are the GOAT. Much love. Thank you so much for all your love and support. So without further ado, let's dive right on in. We'll start from the front and we'll work our way to the back. So on the front, you can see these clear purple joysticks. These are PS5 joysticks. It's pretty much a drop-in, ready, super easy to do, kind of newbie friendly mod. It's not too difficult of an install. Go watch the video and see for yourself how to do it, because that video will kind of give you a much better idea than I can in this one. I'm not going to make this into a full tutorial video since I've already done one. I digress. So that mod right there is freaking awesome. So the question I got asked a lot in that video, although I did explain it, maybe not enough detail, but these are not the same. This is the OG Ally. I 3D printed these. No one sells them. They are not interchangeable with any other handheld or any other device. I did get all the 3D printer files for that, the D-pad, and I'll leave links below, but yes, it's Kira made those files with the help of some friends, and shout out to them. They made the files for those. I just printed them and installed them myself. So let's talk back about the Ally X. This is the D-pad right here that I love that comes on the Xbox Elite series. It's not a off-the-shelf kit that you can buy. It still requires a 3D printer, but what you do need to buy is one of these little kits, and it comes with some magnets. It comes with the little D-pad itself, but the actual plastic part that goes inside the Ally, you do have to 3D print that. The guide is pretty much the same for the OG Ally. The video is up for that. However, the video for this one will be coming. I need to kind of fine tune and polish some things with that video. But a quick little pro tip if you are looking to do that mod, one, there is a tutorial on the links below that will give you some, breakdowns and photos and stuff. But if you want my pro tip, my advice of what made this thing work good for me and feel good for me, when I first put it on and installed it as intended, I had some wobble and some slop here. Could just be my printer tolerances, could be a skill issue, don't know. It was the same way on the Ally OG, but what I found is that they come with this little nub right here that you have to print out separately from this little piece, and I got some double-sided 0.1 millimeter, not 1 millimeter, but 0.1. There you go, it's a nub. So I put the little tape on it, and then when I remove the D-pad off the Ally, you'll have an exposed motherboard inside of this gaping hole here, and there is a center cutout of the little D-pad, and I basically put that and taped it and put it right there on the motherboard itself. So instead of taping it or gluing it to the back side of this like that, I actually just put it directly on the motherboard. It changed the pivot point a little bit, as it was not intended to do that, but let me tell you, the pivot and the fit and the finish feels exactly one-to-one like the Xbox Elite Series D-pad. So it worked perfectly for me. Maybe it'll work perfectly for you, but that's just a pro tip if you want to do that mod, is get you some double-sided tape, 0.1 millimeters, and try it like that. So that mod, it made a huge difference. The D-pad that comes with it from the factory, it's plastic, it's okay, it's not bad, it's completely fine, but I like this better. It feels way better. And you can use the square D-pad if you want, or you can use the round D-pad as well. Okay, so the next thing is cases. The case that you see here, it's a TomTalk case. I'll leave links below, but this particular case it is built really, really well. It's got a 2-year warranty. I'll leave the model number and the picture up above here for which one this is, but it fits the Ally X perfectly. It's a snug fit, it's a tight fit, but it does not hit the joysticks. Most of the other cases that are built for the OG Ally are not going to clear the joysticks properly, and you'll end up pressing them down and it could wear them out prematurely. So this TomTot case was sent over for review. We will be covering this in an accessory roundup video, but I wanted to give you a preview to this case. It's got a nice soft velvety material inside of here. You can fit a microfiber cloth in there. It's got a little foam bumper so it doesn't slide around. Really, really, really good case. I like this a lot. If you need a minimalist case design, this is the way to go. That is a very good minimalist design that will protect you from bumps and drops and spills and falls. Okay, now let's go to the back and let's talk about some more mods. Let's talk about NVMe heat sinks, okay? Now, if you want to upgrade your Ally on day one, which if you are going to do a storage upgrade, I recommend doing it from day one. If you are buying an Ally X and you're like, hey, 1 terabyte's not enough for me, I might not upgrade it. You should go ahead and upgrade it. No, I didn't pay 500 bucks for this. I paid way less for that. If you want to watch the video for it, go watch it. But look, it was not 500 bucks. Way, way, way less. I don't recommend paying 500 bucks for this. You can get these for about 300 bucks if you just shop around. But I digress. You can use the one that comes with or without heatsink. However, don't buy this thing and put it in without a heatsink. It will work. It will thermally throttle. It will maybe or may not be fine. I don't recommend running a drive that hot, and you probably don't want to either. But there are some people out there who advocate for just letting your drive thermally throttle. There are people who love that idea, and they think that's the way they should be ran. And they are also the people who probably run their car with flat tires. They probably are the same people who run their car overheating with no coolant in there. They probably don't even change their air filter. Those people just say, hey, if it cranks up, it runs, I'm running it. That's okay. I digress. Sorry for the jokes. It's probably a dumb, bad joke anyways. But look, this right here, it's an option. I put this in the description on that original mod as the Wavelength 2280 heatsink 880X. Tons of numbers, I know. But it's this right here. It does fit. It does work perfectly fine. Fitment's a little tight on the battery cable, but someone had said that this did not fit. So we're going to discover that together. This may not be the best heatsink, but it looks cool and it does fit. It just fits a little snug. I like the design. However, I'm going to list some other options that are going to fit slightly better, but this one does fit nonetheless. So when you're opening up this device, here's what you need to know. You need to remove your screws, of course. This screw is captive. It's not going to come out. Captive means it just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. It's just not going to come out. You got two options here. You can use a guitar pick, you can use your fingers, or you can use one of these little pry tools like this. Keep in mind, the rougher you are, the more likely you are to scratching your device. It's just not that serious though, in my opinion. It's a handheld. It's going to get bumps and scratches. It's not a Ferrari. It's not a Lambo. This isn't going to be some crazy collector's item that's worth $4 gajillion in your lifetime. No, these things devalue the second they come out, just like any other handheld. They are not worth what you paid when you bought it because it's a used handheld. It doesn't really matter what condition it's in. It's used, and any used device, just like a used car, the second you drive it off the lot, it's worth a lot less than what it did when you bought it brand new. We're not in the scalper situation anymore with electronics like we were in the GPU marketplace, where you could take a used GPU and sell it for more than it was new. But I digress. Opening this up, what I like to do is take this index finger here and push outwards, and I'll try to get it started like that. And once I can get one little corner lifted, sometimes I'll even have to get my fingernail in there like that and pop it up, and then I'll just kind of keep pushing and working this around just like that. And once that's out, it's pretty straightforward from there. Bring it down here and you can run this along this edge. Keep in mind, the more rough you are with it, more likely you are gonna scratch it. That's okay. So when you get that last part off here, maybe get there we go. Carefully carefully open this up like that because you have a ribbon cable in here. I want to reiterate this again just because I know that someone will miss that, but this is how you open that up. You flip it like that and you pull this like that, okay? Be very careful when you open up any type of electronic device. You never know what cables might be hiding inside. So now that we have opened this up, you will notice there's the NVMe drive. I'm using an EK Waterblock 2230 heatsink. It's not the best heatsink, it's not the worst heatsink, but it's a heatsink and it works great. The installation's a little trickier. It's not the most user-friendly as far as attaching this heatsink, but it does fit really, really good, and I like it. So when you are removing your drive, if it's the stock drive, it's going to be a lot easier to remove because there's going to be no heatsink attached or whatever. But you kind of wiggle, you slide it out like that, and you set it aside. Now this battery cable shouldn't trip most people up. I only saw one person have a issue with this, and you know, it's always the one person that needs just a little extra guidance. So when people ask me, why am I so long-winded? Just get to the point, blah, 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 blah. Well, what's common knowledge to us is not common knowledge to everyone else. And the reason I'm long-winded is for that one person in the audience who doesn't know what they don't know. So it's hard for me to know what everyone knows as far as their knowledge base on how to remove connectors. But here's the pro tip. If you're going to remove any type of connector on any electronic device ever, and you can't get it to remove, don't yank it. You shouldn't have to work hard to remove cables. If you feel that it's a little too tight and it's not coming off, stop what you're doing. Look on other places like Reddit and, you know, Discord, and maybe take a little video and show people the issue you're having. Drop it in my Discord, drop it in anyone's Discord, drop it on Reddit, and people will gladly help you. There is no dumb questions in life. It's just that there is none, okay? So don't feel bad if you have to ask something that has already been explained. But yeah, I digress. Here's how you remove that cable. There is a little slider right here. You simply slide that down. That's a metal retention clip that prevents the battery cable itself from backing out. Someone did not see my finger motion and they had a question about that, so there you go. That's how you remove that. So if you are in question of that, just know that, you know, when I do some of these things, just watch how I'm doing it, and if you have a question about it, let me know. Sometimes I have to record these videos so many times over and over and over and over again to get them to be perfect where I don't have to edit them, that I might leave out a detail or two. And I apologize, but if I leave out a detail or two, also, you know, you let me know. Look, once that's pushed down, you can come in here and pop that battery cable out just like so. And it's pretty easy to do so. Now, if you're wanting to do that D-pad mod, remember what I was telling you, some pro tips on that. You will remove the joystick board, you'll remove the screws for the fan, you'll remove the battery, you'll remove the trigger, you'll remove a lot of that stuff. You don't have to remove the heatsink, you don't have to remove this fan, but I do recommend removing some of these screws because you'll need to push that motherboard up slightly and move it out of the way. Go to the website link below for the full tutorial on that until my video is out. But I do not want you guys to break your device or to blame me. So this is an at your own risk mod, just like any mod. If you are brave enough to mod your device, just watch enough tutorials, get comfortable enough with it to where you know that you can do this. It's not really the most difficult task in the world, but it is very dangerous. And I do not recommend doing it if you're not super experienced with modding. Same with removing these cables. If you haven't seen enough videos to know how these things come off, definitely, you know, watch as many as you can until it's kind of making you feel comfortable doing it. So this battery cable, I've had some people be really scared about battery cables, but these are really flexible wires inside of here. It's not like the NVIDIA GPU scenario where if you bend the wire at all, it just combusts and catches on fire and ruins your entire device. No, these are very safe. They're very flexible. They're not going to catch on fire. It's okay to have some bend on there. It's not gonna hurt. So putting this on here, Somebody said this did not fit. I want to reiterate, it does fit. I did test fit this, and I'm going to test fit this again. But you simply slide it in like that. All right, so now that the screw is in there, you will see that the battery cable fit kind of down in that little channel right there. It's pretty tight. It's not going to fit beside it, but it'll fit in there just enough to close this up. And remember, make sure both sides are pressed down. You might have to kind of work it in there. But once you put that in there like this, you can easily put this back panel back on and close it up. It does feel like it's touching a little bit here. Perfectly fine. I didn't have any issues running it. You'll easily be able to close this up and it'll work perfectly fine. But trust me, bro, on this, it does fit. It does move that cable slightly out of the way and it pushes it slightly, but it's not going to rub through the device. This is not anything that's moving around. It's completely fine. Completely fine. So the next pro tip is if you are going to be modding your device and on day one you want to upgrade the NVMe drive, make sure that you put in a fresh drive and go into turning your device on, and you'll boot into the BIOS option and you can do the cloud recovery option. There are videos on that. I don't want to be too lengthy in discussing that, but if you want to do cloud recovery, just look up cloud recovery ROG Ally and there's videos on that. If you want to clone your data, like if you've had your Ally for a couple of weeks and you've got all your games and you don't want to lose those, you can clone them doing multiple different methods. It's the same on any device. Just look up NVMe cloning. Tons of options out there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, if you're cloning a 1 terabyte to a 4 terabyte, there is going to be a potential for some cloners to show your drive as a 1 terabyte. So you will have to either go into your partition manager and extend the partition or create a new partition for the extra space. And that's just an option that you will have to consider when it comes to cloning, and know if your particular cloner has the capability to go from one size to another and retain the functionality of the full size. I don't have a list of ones that can do that. I do know that the one that I have sometimes does it and sometimes doesn't. I know the new model says it can. I haven't tested that out yet, but I will leave links below to a couple different options. When I did mine, it did not bring over and show full 4 terabytes, and I just created a new partition. Didn't bother me. I've got a C drive and a D drive. One's 1 terabyte, one's 3 terabyte. Doesn't bother me at all in the slightest. It's still overall 4 terabytes. So when you are putting this thing back together with this heatsink, you can do just like that. And I showed you how to put the screw in there. I showed you how to put the battery cable back on. It's all pretty straightforward. When you are doing the joystick mod, by the way, I think I did cover this, but when you're putting these screws in, don't do one at a time. You just start them and you kind of thread them down a little bit at a time. So like a quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn, quarter turn, as you're pressing it down. That way both screws are torqued equally here, and then over here you'll do it like a crisscross pattern to kind of make sure all these are torqued down perfectly as well. So you don't want one side being kind of torqued down first because it might make it bow, and then when you go to calibrate your joysticks, you'll notice that they're not right. One will kind of have like a dead zone on the corner. If you have a dead zone in the corner, you need to take it back apart and check all your tolerances and all that good stuff, because it does make a big difference. Okay, so we covered NVMe stuff. Let's cover how to put this back on. Of course, you slide that back in and flip your little flipper down. You'll put that back in there like that, and you'll close it up. You don't have to run the screws, but if you run the screws, just screw them in slowly and carefully. Now, when you are putting your device back together, know that if you took this thing apart, you're going to need your power cable, and you're going to need to plug it up for about 10 seconds or so until the orange light comes on. The reason, there's actually a light sensor inside of there, and it can tell when the back plate has been removed. There's the orange light. Now we can turn it on, and we can remove our power cable. That's just a pro tip. A lot of people that aren't aware of that go to turn their device back on and they're like, yo, it's not turning on. I bricked my device. Oh my God, the world's ending. Nope. You just need to plug it in, give it a few minutes, and then turn it on. You're good to go. It was the same way with the OG Ally, unless you actually covered up the light sensor, which I'll show you right here. There's actually a light sensor over here that you had to cover up. Now, that will pretty much wrap up the video for today. We will be doing a ton more mods down the road to the Ally X. There's a few cooling mods that I've thought about doing, but the temps on this thing are so freaking awesome that it just doesn't even need them, in my opinion. If you want to see them, let me know below. If you really worry about those extra 2 to 3 degrees Celsius temperature differences and you want to see if it really is worth it or not, please definitely let me know. Kind of want to wait to do some of the thermal mods until we get that handheld DIY backplate, which they are working on. I did confirm with them that they do have that in the works. Well, this was a lengthy video, and I appreciate all you guys who stuck around to the end. And if there's anything I can help you with, if you have any questions about any of the mods or I left out any of the steps, please let me know. Also, feel free to reach out on Discord. You know, if you have a question, my Discord's always open and we're always happy to help. But until the next one, I hope you guys have a good afternoon, good evening, or night.